In December of 1987, in Ilkley Moor, actually, I have problems pronouncing this. It's Ilkley Moor in the United Kingdom. There was an incident where actually a guy encountered an alien being and actually snapped a picture of him, of this creature. And now the picture is very blurry, and I will leave links for the people who are listening to the podcast edition so you can see the image of this thing. So, I think it's very interesting. This story has always been fascinating to me. And I have a couple different sources here. Actually, Wikipedia has a really good, there's a good article about it on Wikipedia, and I also have an article here from UFO Casebook about this. And I'm going to go through this, and we're going to talk about some of the things that happened here, and also some of the things that I think actually might tie in with a little bit, possibly. Again, this is pure speculation on my behalf, but might tie in with actually the incident at Ariel School. And I'll explain that later on. But anyway, let's go through. I'm going to go through the Wikipedia because they have it laid out really well here. It says here, it's this called the Ilkley Moor UFO incident. There was an alleged UFO incident on Ilkley Moor on 1 December 1987. A retired police officer claimed that he was abducted by aliens while on a morning walk and briefly held on their craft before being returned to the moor. The man took a photograph of the moor, which he said shows one of the aliens that abducted him. The photograph subsequently became a news story in the United Kingdom. It has been cited as one of the strongest pieces of evidence that we have that extraterrestrials have visited Earth. It has also been described as incredibly blurry. Skeptics have dismissed the incident as a hoax. Well, what else is new? Saying that the photograph shows something else, such as a man or a cardboard cutout. Well, I don't know where they got the cardboard cutout from. But anyway, let's continue here. It says, Ilkley Moor is an area of moorland between Ilkley and Cayley in West Yorkshire, England. It is well known as the inspiration for the song On Ilkley Moor Barat. I can't pronounce. I probably completely butchered the pronunciation of that song. Anyway, continuing. It says, it is also known for its carved rocks, particularly the swastika stone. There have been many UFO sightings on the moor. Skeptics have suggested that this is because of the nearby proximity of Menwith Hill Air Force Base and Leeds Bradford Airport. And the guy that saw this, he was a retired police officer. His name was he didn't use his real name. His pseudonym name was Philip Spencer. And it says here Spencer had moved from London to remote West Yorkshire with his wife and child in order to be closer to his wife's family following his retirement from the police force. On the morning of December 1st, 1987, Spencer began walking across Ilkley Moor to visit his father-in-law in East Morton. He had taken a camera with him as well as a compass in case there was a fog. And then here was the incident. And it says here, according to Spencer, he was walking up a small hill when he noticed an odd-looking figure just up the trail ahead of him. It was dark green and about 4 feet tall with an oversized head and long, thin arms. The creature made a gesture at Spencer, which he took to be a gesture telling him to stay away, but he took out his camera and took a picture of it. The creature then ran away and Spencer followed it. He lost the creature in the fog, but then saw a craft rise from the moor and disappear into the sky. He described the craft as being of a whitish color and consisted of 2 saucer-shaped parts that were attached, with one being on top of the other. There was also a loud hum. He did not take a photograph of the craft. Now I just want to stop there for a minute. A loud hum. Hey, that reminds me of one that being showed up in my room. You know, that humming sound. Anyway, continuing here, it says, rather than continue with his planned route, Spencer headed to another town that was about a half hour away. When he arrived, he discovered that it was about 2 hours later in the day than he expected it to be. Additionally, the compass that he had taken with him was pointed in the opposite direction than it should have. So imagine you're walking along these lonely moors, this lonely moor in the United Kingdom, and next thing you know, there's an alien being there, and you take a picture of it, and then but when you get to the destination you're getting to, you realize you lost about 2 hours of time. Okay, I'm going to continue here. It says here, in the days following the alleged incident, Spencer made contact with UFO researchers Jenny Randles and Peter Huff. Huff claimed to have been extremely skeptical at first, but later came to believe Spencer. Spencer handed over the copyright of the photo to Huff. Although the story quickly made the news, Spencer insisted on keeping his anonymity. Various write-ups of the case have made it clear that Spencer did not make any money from the story. So that's an interesting aspect of it. For one thing, the guy didn't use his real name. He didn't want people to know who he was. And he didn't make any money from this story. He just told the story as it happened. And I believe this story. Again, I believe this story. It's easier for me to believe it because I had an encounter with one of these beings too, so I know that they're real. But anyway, I'm going to continue here. It says, as well as examining the site, Huff sent the photograph to a number of experts. A wildlife photographer who examined the photograph said that it was not from any known animal. Experts from the Kodak laboratory in Hempel, Hempstead said that they could not detect any evidence of tampering. Dr. Bruce Maccabee, stop there for a minute. Dr. Maccabee, he's a real interesting guy. He was a United States Navy optics expert, and he's pointed out that he thinks that there's a lot of different things that he believes were actual, objects that are not of Earth, like, for instance, the McMinnville UFO. But this was something that he didn't believe. He said it was not enough. The picture was too grainy for him to give an opinion. But he says he concluded that the photograph was too grainy for proper testing. And according to ufologist Nick Redfern, Spencer was hassled by the Ministry of Defense a few days after the incident on the moor. He says that they opened a file on Spencer and sent 2 men in black to his home to intimidate him into silence. Don't you love that? In these stories, especially back in the 80s, 90s, or 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s even. There's these cases where men in black show up. It seems like, I don't know. I've talked about this before. I think in some cases, men in black are actually government agents coming in to silence people. And I think in other cases, I think they're actually alien beings, hybrids of some sort. Who are showing up and trying to tell people to, hey, keep your mouth shut and don't talk about this. But anyway, they're both doing the same. They both have the same desires, silence. Anyway, continuing, it says, and then he was hypnotized after this, and this is where the story got even stranger. It says here, while the photograph was being examined, Spencer claimed that he experienced strange dreams. Following Huff's advice, he attended a session of regressive hypnotherapy. This was carried out by Dr. Jim Singleton on March 16, 1988. Under hypnosis, Spencer's original account of the incident changed. Singleton has called it a genuine recall. Spencer now recalled that upon seeing the creature on the hill, he was instantly paralyzed. He was then lifted up a few feet and pulled into the craft. When he entered the craft, a voice told him to be calm. A group of green aliens then performed medical experiments on him, inserting items into his nose and mouth. He was given a tour of the craft and shown a film. The film, this is the part here coming up where I believe there might be a connection here with what happened at the Ariel School incident. With what happened at the Ariel School incident in September of 1994. It says here, the film showed apocalyptic imagery, including nuclear explosions, famines, and floods. Spencer was then shown a second film. He has never revealed the contents of the second film, saying that the aliens who abducted him do not want humanity to know. Okay, let's just stop here for a minute. Now, again, this is something that happens to, you've heard this before from different alien abductees about apocalyptic imagery, like nuclear explosions and famines and floods. If you read books by David Jacobs, who put a number of, hundreds of different alien abductees under hypnosis, right? This is some of the imagery that sometimes they're shown. They're shown films, like movies. Probably not films, but some sort of imagery, and who knows how it's delivered. But they're shown these images. And when you think about what happened in 1994 at the Ariel School incident, which I've been talking about a lot lately, in 1994, of course, 62 kids saw this flying saucer. It was in Rua, Zimbabwe, at a place called Ariel School. 62 kids out on a break during a recess while all the teachers were inside having a conference meeting. All these kids, 62 of them, saw a flying saucer land and a couple of alien beings come out, and one of the alien beings communicated telepathically with some of the kids, right? and they were showing them images of talking about technology that's bad. They were showing them, giving them images of destruction that was basically scared these kids, right? And here it happened in this case too. And what's interesting is that Spencer never talked about the contents of the other film that he was shown. Now, I recently speculated, and I'm just gonna, who knows? Again, this is speculation too, right? Who knows, right? But I recently speculated that the reason that these beings showed up at that school and did what they did, right, is what they're doing is they're letting humanity. They were trying to let humanity know that, hey, if you screw up, if any country decides to use nuclear weapons on another country, and you start doing this kind of going down that road, right? Then we aliens are going to intervene, and you're not going to like that. And I think that could explain why the alien abduction program and the hybridization program, creating all these beings that look human but they're actually aliens, right? I believe that helps to explain that, and they're all in place all across the world, right? They have this plan that if we go too far, if mankind goes too far with its technology and starts destroying itself with nuclear weapons, that they are going to intervene and they're going to take over, and we're not going to have any power anymore. And they might wipe most of us out. Who knows what the reality is, but they might. Who knows? They're going to take over. They're going to take over this planet because they'll deem us unworthy. They won't be able to trust us, because then that means we're going to keep advancing technologically, and then we'll become a threat to them. And so they're going to have to take care of business now before we get to that point. I believe that that's what it was. I possibility that it was a warning that that the aliens at the aerial school are giving us a warning, giving humankind a warning. Hey, go too far, we're taking over, and you're not going to like that. I wonder if that second film that Spencer's talking about here, that he was shown, it actually shows the aliens taking over the world. That's what I wonder, right? I mean, when you put everything you think about everything, the way things, the aerial school incident, basically the same kind of imagery shown to other people, other abductees, to this guy, this Spencer, this retired cop, right? Could be. All right, continuing. Following this, Spencer was returned to Ilkley Moor. Keep pronouncing that wrong. It's Ilkley Moor, where he then took the famous photograph. He claimed that the alien was actually waving goodbye to him, not telling him to stay away, as in his original account. Now, I think the alien picture is actually pretty fascinating. I mean, it is blurry, but it looks like, it looks like an alien. Yeah, it's blurry, but it looks like an alien. Now skeptics, of course, say it's a fake. Here's what it says, or we'll continue reading. It says here, skeptics have claimed that the whole incident is a hoax. They have said that the photograph is so blurry that it is far from proof of any alien visitors to Earth. They have argued that the alien in the photograph could easily be a man or a cardboard cutout. Skeptics have also asked why Spencer did not take a photograph of the craft, noting that such a photograph would be more difficult to fake. Skeptics have also dismissed the supposed physical evidence of the broken compass, saying that it was easy to manually wreck compasses. Now, yeah, some of that stuff is true. Now Spencer had indicated, according to the other article that I'll include in here, and that other article, by the way, the UFO casebook article, actually, that's the one that if you're listening to the podcast version, that's the one that has the images on here. It has some really good pictures of this alien, close-up pictures. So you're going to want to check that out because it's interesting. And so that the picture, I mean, okay, but again, here's the problem, right? The picture, the close-up of it, I mean, it to me, it's very fascinating. Like I agree in a way with Maccabee, because it's hard, you can't really tell, but to me, it has the long arms, just like, the aliens usually have, like the aliens that were the small 4 foot tall aliens usually have these longer arms than humans have. I don't know. I mean, it looks like it could be an alien being. I mean, it looks like something standing there. It looks like there's something with 2 eyes. Again, it's blurry, but to me, it's very, it's definitely intriguing, and it's something to check out. A lot of you probably, people who have been following the UFO subject, I'm sure a lot of you have probably seen this picture before, but for those who haven't, I urge you to check it out because it's very interesting. But I guess the whole thing is, I think it's a great story. I think this to me, it sounds like, yeah, why not? It could be real. Why would somebody just make this up? And, there's the guy never gave his real name, right? Why go through all the trouble? Why get hypnotized and all that trouble? A retired cop yet, right? Come on. No, that doesn't make any sense. And you don't even give his real name. He never made a dime off of it. It just reminds me a lot of other witnesses throughout the years. People who just told the story, what happened, and a lot of people, skeptics, come out. No. They have no proof whatsoever. Again, it's by proclamation. They don't really investigate these things themselves. They just present scenarios on how it could have been faked, but they never really talk about why. Why would it have been faked? Why would it have been faked? Why? It doesn't make any sense. Well, why would somebody make a story up like this? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, sometimes, of course, there are some people who certainly lie about things, right? But no, not all of them. I think a vast majority of people who come forward with their alien abduction or UFO encounter stuff, they're telling you the truth. I'm telling you, I've seen these things. I know for a fact, right? There's something going on here. That's why I believe a lot of these stories. And I believe this Ilkley Moor story really happened, right? And I think that picture is of an alien being. Now, if you read the other article, it talks about the article in UFO Casebook. It talks about how it talks about how when he saw the flying saucer, like he was in shock by that point in time. Like he didn't think quick enough to take the picture. I talk about that. I talk about that all the time, about how when these things happen, when you're in shock. When I think about my incident, when I saw a flying saucer in August of 1994 in Pennsylvania during a nighttime fishing trip with my buddy. When we saw that flying saucer, I didn't have a camera, and he didn't either, right? But even if I would have had one, and if they would have had cell phones back in that day, I don't know if I would have even thought about trying to take a picture. I was in shock. You're in shock. And it happened so fast, and then next thing you know, it's over. So I don't know how, usually the arguments that come from skeptics don't really make any sense to me, especially in this case here, to say that the guy's it's just a hoax. He made it up. It's a car. How do you know it? You're just saying it's cardboard? It's so blurry you could barely see it. It's definitely humanoid in shape, right? It looks like the common description of that's given for an alien, a gray alien, or the kind of shape that they have, right? So what are you talking about? Cardboard? I mean, you don't know that. They're just saying that. But that's fine. They don't want to do any research into it. They just have to come up with these kind of things to try to downplay it and make people not believe it for some reason, because they don't want to believe it. A lot of people out there, they don't want to accept this reality. I think this story really happened. I think this Ilkley Moor story is real. It doesn't make any other sense why this guy would have come forward with this and went through all the trouble. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, especially he's remaining anonymous over it. He shared the picture. He took this amazing picture. Maybe these beings are slow. For another thing too, maybe these beings are slow. This is their method of revealing themselves to us, by slowly. Okay, here's a blurry picture as time goes on. Then we had the turkey. The best images I've ever seen, of course, were those the 2007, 2008, 2009 Turkey UFO pictures that you could see the occupants, the alien beings inside. You could see gray aliens. You could see a praying mantis alien. That was the best we have ever had. We're getting there. One of these days, we're going to get some really good imagery of this. I have a feeling at some point we're going to see it. I'm sure our governments have some good imagery. They probably have. I'm sure that they have bodies on ice, and that would end the whole debate right there. But I think this guy told the truth, and I think what's going on here, the message. Why show him this? I mean, he didn't remember any of that stuff that in hypnosis. He remembered seeing these films, these images of destruction. What was going on there? Why did they do this? Why did they put those same kind of messages into those brains of those little kids in 1994 in Zimbabwe? Why did they do that? I think it could be a warning. They're trying to give us a warning. They did this. They do the same kind of thing with a lot of these alien abductees. The same kind of thing. So I think the connection here that I see with this story and some other abduction stories and prominently with the Ariel school incident is that it could be they're trying to give us a warning. Hey, look at if you guys don't straighten up, we're taking over, and you're not going to like that. That could be what's going on here. Because I mean, look at right now. We're still living under the threat of nuclear holocaust right now, with coming out of Russia, with Putin's making threats again. I just read a couple days ago, making more nuclear bomb threats. I mean, it could be all just bombast, and hopefully it probably is, but you just never know. There's like over I can't remember, thousands of nuclear bombs throughout the whole world right now. Some of them controlled by maniacs like Putin and Kim Jong-un, right? So who knows? Something could happen. Somebody could fire one of these things at some other country, and then that could spell the end of everything, the end of humankind existing, maybe. I don't know, or humankind being in charge of itself. We might end up being under the control of extraterrestrials from other planets. That's what might end up happening.